Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn how to recreate the Maven job that we manually created, but now we're going to create this using DSL. So let's click on this job and we're going to take a look at the configuration of this job so we can start building our DSL script. So let's go ahead to our terminal and I will leave you a Maven file that you are going to find under resources and we're going to be working with this. So let's take a look. The first thing that we need in here is the source code management. Let's go back to our terminal and as you can see here we are defining that the job is going to be called Maven underscore DSL. This is the final name for our job and then we're giving this a sample description which is Maven DSL project, and in here we're defining the source code management. In this case we're going to be using the GitHub URL. Remember, that's the first configuration that we did, so we say the URL and then we specify the branch. If you're wondering about what this means, don't worry because I found this in the internet. Let me show you. If we go here and we look in the documentation for Git and let's look for SCM context, you're going to see that it actually creates a tag for every build by default, and as we are not creating any tags or anything like that, then as this is enabled by default, I actually faced some errors because of these tags. So I googled a little bit and I found that in order to disable those default tags we need to paste this code in here. Don't worry, this is actually a quick search in Google. Okay, so let's keep taking a look to our Maven project. After we defined the source code management, we need to define the build steps. And the first build step that we need to do is to invoke a Maven command. So let's take a look to our script DSL in here. Let's go ahead and modify this file because I think we need to do a couple of modifications in here. And as you can see, this Maven means invoke top level Maven targets. If you go to the documentation and you look for Maven, for example, and you click on the first one, you are going to find how to use this. And as you can see, we need to call a Maven function and then start passing parameters or arguments. So in here, we're calling this Maven step and we're passing the Maven installation. Remember, the Maven installation means the name that we gave to this installation. In this case it's Jenkins Maven, so let's go and modify this. It's Jenkins Maven. Now we need to define the goals as you can see here, and these are the goals, so this is correct as you can see here. So if you want to know how did I find this Maven installation, let's go here and look for it. As you can see, this is the Maven installation and a lot of things that we're not using. I am just giving you the things that you are going to need in a simple way so you can understand. Okay, Maven installation is okay, goals are okay. Nice. So let's take a look to our job. We need to invoke a second step, which is again a Maven. We define the version again, and now the goals are going to be test. So we define the second step in here, Maven installation. It's going to be Jenkins Maven for this case, and the goals are test. That's good. So finally, we need to define a shell command, remember, where we deploy our jar. So that's like this. You say shell, and remember that if we want to execute some commands or more than one, we can add quotes, 3 quotes at the beginning, 3 quotes at the end, and inside of that we can create new lines specifying what should be executed in this shell command. So in this case I am just doing this because remember that the last time when we tried to do this, that didn't look good. So I just changed that to this, running the jar, and then we are deploying this jar. Same command, java-jar, and we point to the jar. Java-jar, and we point to the jar. That's good. And finally, we go to the publisher section, which are the post-build actions. Okay, so archived artifacts, and we pass the same value, which is target *.jar, target *.jar, exactly the same. After that, we need to publish the JUnit test result, and that's done adding a new step, which is publishing the JUnit and passing this value. So we do this in here, archive JUnit, and we pass exactly the same value, And finally, we added a mail notification in here. So you know how to add notifications in a DSL. So that's mailer, you define the mail, true and true. And that's it. If you have questions about this archive artifact or archive JUnit, let's go to the documentation and look for publishers, which are like post actions. And as you can see, in this example for publishers, we have archive artifacts, which is the function that we're using in here, and we have the archive JUnit, which is the option that we are using in here. So this is pretty simple. Now we're going to save this DSL. Let's save this. We're gonna cut this DSL. Let's copy the content, and now we're going to go to our main job, which is the DSL job, the seed job. We're going to configure this, and we're going to add a new job in the last part of this file. So let's hit enter, and we're going to add the new job that we're going to create. So let's go ahead and click on save. Let's build this job, and remember that the name of this job is going to be Maven DSL. So let's look for it in here, Maven DSL, as you can see. Let's take a look to the configuration, and we're going to find out the CSM defined. We're going to see the package step, the test step, the deployment step, and finally the post actions, which is archive the artifacts, publish the JUnit, and sending an email notification. So that's good. Let's go ahead and build this project so we can make sure that this is working as expected. So let's go to the console output for this, and we're going to wait until this finishes. So let's take a quick look. This already downloaded the code from GitHub. Now it's packaging the jar. After that, it's running the tests, as you can see here, and finally running this execution, which is deploying the jar. And as you see, this is sending an email because we have an error in here, and that's on the deployment section. You can see unable to access jar file on this workspace, and that's because remember that we should pass in here the current workspace for this, and this is wrong because remember that the workspace should be exactly the same name of the job. So let's go and modify this, because if you see, we actually have this job as failure. So let's go to our seed job, let's click on this, let's configure that, and remember that the workspace has the same name of the job. So in this case, it's going to be Maven DSL, and that's it. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's build it again, and when we build again, this seed job is going to replace the jobs that have different changes. In this case, our Maven DSL had a wrong configuration. Now we fixed that in the main job or in the seed job, and if we go to configure, you can see that the seed job already replaced the new configuration and put that in place, as you can see here. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's build this, and hopefully it should work. So let's take a look on this. Let's go to console output. The download of the code was good. The package step looks good. The tests are running, I think. Yes, they are going good. And as you can see, this time it was successful because we fixed the error that we had, and now our execution is successful. So this is pretty cool. You already know how to create the Maven DSL job that we created manually, but you already know how to create that using DSL. So I hope you've learned a lot from this. I'll see you in the next lesson.